to another episode of Death Before Booze.
Another episode.
And I'm Sam.
And I'm Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Sam.
I'm so glad that we don't write musicals.
I know.
Because it would be pretty boring. Cause we do this,
it wouldn't be great.
You notice we do like the same like 3 or 4 songs every time.
Yes. That's honestly, I was talking to Dave about this the other day, and I was like, I think of songs on the fly and I just do them, and him like, but I would not be able to replicate them, and if they are on an album, you'd skip most of them because they're like, oh, this is the same.
It's always to like yeah. Shit. Well, the first thing I want to do is say thank you to everybody for all of your like comments and likes and all the stuff for DB Squared Appreciation Day.
Yeah.
It was really nice. And we love you guys a lot.
Nice.
And yeah, no, I'm not going to cry. No. I just really appreciate everybody who does listen. I was looking over our numbers. There's like there are definitely people out there who are now listening consistently who we don't know in human form. We just know you because you're listening, and we really appreciate you. So it's little things like that. And, you know, we hope that you like us enough to tell your friends and family and like maybe spread the word a little bit more so we can keep doing this. But yeah, so just thank you for always being there, and we hope that you like the stuff we put out. We do have some other things that we're going to be putting out over the next couple weeks that we kind of wanted to do for Appreciation Day, but it just didn't come to fruition, unfortunately. So just keep an eye out for some new and fun things that we're doing. And if you guys have any ideas or other things that you guys want to hear or know about or want us to try, girl, let us know. Boy, let us know. We got this. We'll try it. We're not sending anything. We do whatever the hell we want because it's our podcast.
Slip into the DMs and we'll message you back.
Yo, slip into those DMs. Oh my god, that's so bad. But yeah, so that's just what we have. Is there any other news we needed to cover at the top? I think we're good there.
I think that's it.
Okay, so
thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Now we're gonna get into our episode.
Yeah.
And this week's episode is a
Chix Pix.
So that means we get to pick whatever the hell we want. There is no structure to this episode. We just go insane. So Jen's going first this time.
Yes. And Sam and I already have the stress balls out. So like, so like if you're on YouTube watching, like we're already doing that. So it's, it's not going to be good.
Mine's fine. I'm going to be honest. My topic is fine.
Mine's not.
Jen's is never fine. 27 kids fine. And 26 of them were murdered terribly. That's how it goes.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So I'm talking about the disappearance of Susan Powell.
Okay.
And so if I get off track, I'm sorry. My printer ink is like, looks like this.
Woof.
What, right? So like it was all like and I'm like, all right, that's fine. So anyway, we're gonna start with Josh Powell, even though
this sounds really familiar. Do I know this?
Oh no,
I'm gonna know.
You're gonna know.
Okay, I'm gonna know.
You're gonna know. So Josh was born January 1976 to Stephen and Teresa in Washington. He had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. Stephen was an abusive father. Okay. Which led to a dysfunctional household. They were also part of the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints church, but Stephen decided he was not going to do that. However, mom still wanted to raise them in the LDS church.
Is that Mormons?
Yeah. Teresa filed for divorce in 1992 because she said that Stephen shared pornography with his sons. He refused to teach or enforce limits on behavior. So she basically is like, you're a piece of shit dad, you're a piece of shit husband, goodbye.
Okay. Good for you, girl. Get it.
Good. As a teenager, Josh allegedly killed his sister's gerbils.
Oh.
And threatened his mother with a knife.
No.
And attempted suicide at least once. Now, again, all of this is alleged, so we're not really sure. But not good.
Not
good.
It's not good. No.
Especially because even though Teresa divorced dad is still in the picture, and he has a very big stronghold on his kids, and especially Josh in particular, about like ideas and stuff. Both of them are pieces of shit. We're going to learn that in a second. So
I'm ready. Can't wait.
In the late 1990s, they were living in Tacoma, and he attended University of Washington. He started dating a girl named Catherine, who he met at the LDS church. They moved in together, but then Catherine shortly after found out he was very possessive. He limited who she contacted, many times she contacted her family. So she went to visit a friend in Utah without his permission, and then called him to be like, I'm not coming back. So like...
Utah,
fair.
man. I'd rather be in Utah where there's no alcohol than live with you.
Yeah, than live with you. But it's just, I think it was just funny that she's like, I'm going to hang out with a friend, not telling him about it, and then I'm calling him and being like, I'm not coming back. So,
I mean,
do with that information as you may. Like, just
yeah.
I feel like that might have been the best out at this point.
Yeah. I get it.
So then, Josh met Susan Cox, who is Susan Powell. A classmate that...
Sorry.
I could choked on my own spit.
Cox.
I didn't even mean to. It just happened. So he met Susan Cox, a classmate from his LDS religion course in 2000. She was one of 4 girls, part of the LDS church, very close to her family. The two of them started dating, and then they married April 2001.
Cute.
Yeah, so I mean, that's fine. She was training to become a cosmetologist, but then took a job in Wells Fargo because the family relocated to Utah later.
Okay.
Everyone likes to go to Utah, apparently.
That's where the Mormons go.
Yeah, and they had 2 sons, Charlie in 2005 and Braden in 2007. Now, after their wedding, Josh and Susan had to stay with Stephen, Josh's father, for a short time until they were able to get, whatever. Stephen developed an obsession with Susan. Like, disgusting. He followed her around with a camcorder. He used a small mirror to spy on her when she was in the bathroom. He stole her underwear, read her journals, and posted love songs for her online. He was obsessed with her. And it was very cringy to Susan. She was I can't do this. Like, he actually, 2003, he confessed his feelings to her while recording her. Of course, like, she rejected him.
Could you imagine my face?
Because... I'd be
like, what? Homie.
I'm sorry.
No.
You what?
No.
Like, I'm married to your son, and also you're creeping me out. So she, of course, he was recording her as he was having this conversation. She's like, fucking no.
Ew.
Like, no. So this is when Josh and Susan decided we need to move.
That's when? It wasn't the mirror in the bathroom? Because that would be like, oh, hell no. Are you fucking kidding me?
The problem was, after they moved, Susan started to see a little bit of issues in the marriage. Josh stopped going to the church with the rest of them, but he also stayed in contact with his cringy father. Like, they talked. I get it. Like, it's your dad, but that's your wife.
Sick? Like, the only time it would be, in my opinion...
No.
Like, do you have cancer? Are you dying? And you're just, like, losing it? Like, do you have dementia? Something like... I don't want to still be in this situation, but I understand the son. What's his name? James, asshole.
Josh. Yeah.
Like, I can understand him, like, still being in contact, like, not completely severing contact. Like, this is a compulsion. No. He can't help what he's doing. It's disgusting. I find it abhorrent, but at the same time, like, I'm going to keep him over here as far away from you as possible. You don't even have to know about it, but I can't sever that tie. Like, I don't love it. I absolutely hate it. But at the same time, my brain can reconcile. Like, okay, there's something wrong with this man.
That would be the one reason why he would.
The best of the worst case scenarios.
But it was not. He just continued to stay in contact. He continued to talk to his dad.
What an asshole.
And it's very, yes. So
what an asshole.
Her friends also recalled that he was extremely controlling towards Susan. He had very extravagant spending habits. He
Josh.
kind of, yes.
What did he buy her?
He just bought in general. He didn't buy her anything.
Ew, rude.
So he ended up having to file for bankruptcy because he had $200,000 in debt.
Get the fuck out. I'm done.
Yes. So in July 2008, their marriage hit a huge snag because Josh was having trouble maintaining control. He argued in front of the kids with her. He's told her when she could go certain places, when she could talk to her family.
Oh, no.
And she complained to her friends that Josh had stopped being affectionate with her. He wouldn't even hold her hand. Like, that was just how, so normally this is kind of the thing in any type of relationship where people go, okay, well, there's something else going on. Like, he's either seeing somebody else.
Girl, I was just thinking that who's the bitch he's
like
seeing.
So she said, though, she wanted to do, before she left, she wanted to do everything she could to save the marriage before she walked away. So she can't
Admirable.
say, which again, she's very religious. They go to church, the LDS church and whatever. So she had a lot of support, but people kept saying, maybe it's time to leave. And she's like, I want to make sure I could do everything possible to see if we could fix it. But as time passed, it seemed like it wasn't going to get better. So in July of that same year, Susan actually, and this is like what's really creepy because I watched the documentary and this is kind of where it started. She recorded a video surveying the property damage that Josh had done. She also wrote a secret will that she kept in a safe deposit box, which he didn't know about, that was at her work, that included statements like, I wanted to document it that there is extreme turmoil in our marriage. If I die, it may not be an accident, even if it looks like one. And she also left one for her son saying, I would never leave you. So she's kind of preparing for the worst here because she's thinking this is where it's going.
Prepare for the worst, run.
Exactly.
I'm going to get on my soapbox for like a hot second. I'm so sorry. I know you're in the middle of your thing.
No.
If you, listeners, find yourself in this relationship, this is a form of abuse. It doesn't, like, even though they're not hitting you or being physically mean to you in a way, this is still a mental form of abuse. Cutting you off from people is still abusive. And I know they do it to make you feel alone. You are not alone. If you call any one of those friends who they alienated, if you call anybody in your family who they alienated and was like, look, I need help, they will help you.
They're not going to be mad.
They're not going to be mad.
Like, they're happy to hear from you.
They want to help you. They will
like,
take you in. Reach out to somebody online. I know that there are, you know what, I'll even put up the, like, abuse hotline and all that on our blog page, like, if you need it. And there are now safe things where if you are on those websites, like, all you have to do is hit a button and it goes away. Like, and it erases itself, so they don't know.
So they don't know that you're on those sites. Yes.
Like, there are a lot of safety and safe ways to do this that you can get help. You are not alone. Call your friends. Call your family. Call that one cousin who you know was, like, your best friend as a child and you haven't spoken to in 10 years because of this asshole. Call that cousin. They will come running. It's okay. Off my soapbox. If you need to hear that right now, this is the moment to hear it.
Right.
Do something about it. You can be safe. Someone will help you.
And it's not, again, like there are many cases that we've talked about where it's been like this, but it's not, it's for your safety, and your safety is more important than if they're happy.
Yes.
So if you're thinking, shit, what are they going to do? Protect yourself first, and then there are steps. The police can help you. These hotlines, again, definitely can help you. There's people. So
yeah, when they say I'm going to go, off myself, it's a tactic. It's not an actual threat. It's just a way for them to remain in control of you. It's to make you feel bad. You should have full control and autonomy of yourself.
Especially if you have kids too involved. It's so much better. And it's honestly, again, forget I want them to have a parent figure in my life. Like, no, like sometimes it's better to just You are on your own, and they're going to respect you a whole lot more. So men, women, this can happen to anybody.
This can happen to anybody.
So.
Yep. Okay. Sorry, I just needed to say that. It was getting to that point of like, oh, I feel so bad.
Yeah. And so we kind of know where this is going, but December 6th, 2009, Susan and her boys attended church. They came home. Josh made them a late pancake lunch, and a neighbor, Giovanna Owings, stopped by to visit. Susan had said she felt really tired and she wanted to rest. So Giovanna left at 5:30, and that was the last time anyone has seen her.
What?
The neighbor. Other than the family. So other than the actual family, that's the last time any neighbor or anybody has seen her.
Susan.
So, yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
So in the documentary too, Giovanna had said like it was just very weird because Josh was making food and, Susan was very welcoming and very much like, oh yeah, stay. But he seemed very like angry and very much like there's tension. So she's like, I almost like didn't want to stay, but I was staying for her because I felt
you just knew something was off.
Something's going on. Like she's like, he's always like that. But like, I felt like he wanted me to leave. Like he was like trying to get me out of the fucking house. But then it wasn't until Susan's like, I am really tired. Like, and so she's like, okay, fine. As long as you're okay.
Yeah. She was not okay. I'm going to go with she was.
Now, the next day, December 7th, Josh's mom and sister, Jennifer, were contacted by the daycare that Charlie and Braden attended, saying both boys hadn't shown up. Susan never called, and neither had Josh to say they're not coming in. But then when they called both places of work for both of them, they said they never came in. So Josh's mom, who is her and this sister Jennifer are very much like, what the fuck happened? Like, what did he fucking do? So,
oh my God. Okay. So they knew right off the bat.
So they immediately went to the house. They contacted police and said, okay, the car, their doors are locked and everything. So the cops came and broke in because they thought it might have been
carbon monoxide
poisoning.
Yeah.
So when they came in, though, they found nobody inside. However, they did find 2 box fans blowing a wet spot on the couch, but nowhere else. Susan hadn't shown up for work, but her wallet, her ID, and everything else was found there. So everything that she needed.
No.
Her phone was in the family's only car that Josh had been using. So when they pinged it to see where it was. So she didn't, she's not with it. The cell phones were turned off or out of service during the day. But finally, when they were turned back on, neighbors were able to get through to Josh at 3:00 p.m.
There's something wrong with him. Like, he didn't even do it right.
Saying that Susan hadn't shown up for work and the police are at your house. Okay. So the cell towers showed Josh was in West Valley City. Then he drove 30 miles to call Susan's phone. 2 hours went by. He called her phone again, and then he returned to the house an hour later. So he gets home around like 5, and there's police everywhere, but he has the 2 boys with him.
Thank God. Okay, thank you. Thank God.
So the police took all of them down to the station for questioning. Josh said he took the boys camping to the Pony Express trails in western Utah at midnight.
What?
And when he left, Susan was sleeping on the couch. But when police visited the area, it hadn't looked like anybody had been there. Also, they said, why would you take the boys camping? It's December. It's
oh my God, that's
Utah.
Right.
So it's blizzard conditions. Like, why would you do this? And he's like, and especially when you knew that they had daycare in the few hours. And he's like, oh, I thought it was, I didn't realize it was Sunday. And the next day was Monday. I thought it was Saturday. And they're like, all right.
Are you high, Clary?
Yeah. Are you? Okay. So people also recounted after the whole thing. He was cleaning his car. He was cleaning the garage. He was washing towels. He was doing anything he could to avoid going back to the police station for another interview, because they were like, you got to come back in because we need to like go over your story again. And he was like washing towels. Like his sister Jennifer was like, what the fuck are you doing? You have an interview. Go fucking down to the police station. What are you doing? And he's just like, I'm washing stuff. And she's like, get the fuck out of here and go where you need to go. So they did search the residence, and they found traces of Susan's blood on the floor. Life insurance policy for Susan of $1.5 million.
Fuck off, you did it.
And a handwritten note from Susan expressing fear for her life, and this was and all of the stuff that was in her safety deposit box. Which again, there was a key on her keys for the safety deposit box. He didn't know about this. So when they opened it, they found all this shit, and they were like, all right.
Good for her. Good job, Susan.
Okay.
The only thing you could have done better is tell somebody sooner and get out.
Yeah.
But
and get out.
You really, I think you kind of saved the day with this.
Yeah. So we're going to get, because I have a whole thing of like, what, because it's not like they were suspicious of Josh, but there wasn't evidence to like.
So what was wrong with the
charge
couch?
Him with this? So that they don't. He said something spilled, and they was trying to get the.
But the bitch was the Susan was sleeping on the couch when they left.
That's what he said.
So
yeah,
Susan's sleeping on the couch, but something
and now
spilled.
Magically,
how did you put the box fans out?
Especially because you were out with the boys
until
at
5 p.m. the next
Express.
day.
Again, the cops are slowly figuring that something's not quite right. So
should have been detectives.
I know. I fucking know, right?
We should have been.
So, West Valley Police released a document showing Josh took actions that were highly suspicious following her disappearance. He liquidated her retirement account. He canceled all her upcoming appointments, and he withdrew the boys from daycare.
No.
He also spoke with coworkers when he mentioned how to hide a body in the abandoned mine shaft in western Utah desert. This was just kind of an off, but I'm like, that's interesting.
I don't like
that you would
that.
be talking to your... So, police interviewed Charlie. So, Charlie, again, is, at this point, I believe... I want to see how old he is, specifically.
Charlie's one of the kids, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, he was born in 2005. So, he's like 4, maybe 5.
Okay.
So, they interviewed him, and he did confirm they did go camping. But that his mom was with them, but didn't go back with them. He said, quote, "My mom stayed at the Dinosaur National Park. My mom stayed where the crystals are." They weren't sure what that meant.
Underground.
But they were like...
So one of the caverns.
So,
oh my God.
A teacher also reported the incident. Charlie mentioned his mother was dead during, And even Susan's parents claimed that while they were at daycare... months after the disappearance, Braden, who was 2 years younger than him, drew a picture of a van with 3 people and told them mom is in the trunk.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. No.
So, investigators informed the media that they planned to question Josh again, and they subpoenaed all the footage of the interviews Josh gave from the local TV stations because, of course, you have to go on TV and do these interviews and be like, oh my God, my wife is missing, blah, blah, blah.
If you know anything, come home, baby. We miss you.
Please, if anybody knows anything, don't hurt her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, he was detained December 14th. So, a few days after that. Or retained. But he grew very, non-cooperative. And then a few days after that, he took his sons to stay with his dad for the holidays.
No.
No.
Oh man, was his dad pissed? You killed my plaything.
Well, here's the thing.
I got the camcorder out and everything.
This seems to me like, why didn't you arrest him at this point? Because, the police said there was circumstantial evidence and that they could not file charges without a body until a year had passed. Now, I think I'm not sure if that's a thing that's all states or just Utah, because people have been convicted of crimes without bodies, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Maybe it just is the weight of the circumstantial evidence as well.
Maybe. So they did try to question the DA on this. Like, so there were people, but the DA refused to respond for an interview. So that also kind of seems a little like, maybe we fucked up a little, maybe, you know, neither here nor there. Yeah. So between 2010 and 2012, so she went missing in 2009. Okay, so between those 2 years in between, less than a month after his wife's disappearance, Josh moved his sons to his father's home, saying, I don't want the media attention. So they all moved in with Dad in Washington.
Ew, you couldn't pick a worse place to move in. That guy's weird.
Ugh,
I know. Him.
But, so now he was living with his dad, his 2 brothers, and 1 sister, because his sister Jennifer was totally over the fact that Dad was a creep. She was totally on Mom's side, and she actually offered to wear a wire and ask Josh about the whole thing. She actually he was like going to, like, she cornered him in the bathroom and she's like, what the fuck did you do to her? Blah, blah, blah. To the point where Steven's like, what is wrong with you? Get the fuck out of the house. So she's not on brother's side here. Yeah. She's like,
I volunteer as tribute. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I'll do it. I don't fucking care. So now the police re-interviewed Charlie, so the young boy, who said she did go with them but didn't come back. But he didn't talk about what happened afterwards. So they kept trying to be like, so what happened after? Like, you know, whatever. And he just shut down. Something was wrong, but they weren't getting it out of him. Now, a website launched between that time called susanpowell.org. I didn't check to see if it's still working, but I'm assuming it is because we'll get there. But where there were anonymous posts saying this whole thing was a smear campaign from Josh and Josh's mom and his estranged sister, saying, and the LDS church being like, well, oh my God, they're trying to, you know, pin him and under this and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Some connected her disappearance with that of a former journalist who disappeared the same week in Nevada. Okay. Some suggested the 2 of them ran off together.
Okay.
Josh and his father were very vocal about this and said, yes, she definitely ran off with another guy because she had some mental health challenges.
I hate them. I hate this man. I hate his father. I hate everything about this.
No, they're both pieces of shit.
I hate them.
So
hate them. Hate it. Hate them. Hate all of it.
The police found out that Stephen had an obsession with Susan, they kind of honed in on him a little bit, being like, what's going on here? So Stephen even claimed to the police they actually had a relationship.
Get the fuck out. I'm done. No.
But when they seized his computer, they found 4,500 images of her without her consent, including close-ups and body parts.
Body parts? I don't want to know. Mm-hmm. Please don't elaborate.
I'm assuming like he just like
her
was
foot.
Like, oh, look at her foot, look at her leg,
look at her fingernail.
Like, what is? Yeah, like those type of things. Because he was a fucking weirdo.
Susan has ears just like us.
Yeah. They also searched Josh's brother's car, and a cadaver dog indicated there had been some kind of human remains in the trunk, but DNA tests were found inconclusive.
Oh God, no. I hate it.
Now, wait for it, because in 2011,
okay,
September 22nd, Stephen was arrested for voyeurism, which is a practice of watching others engaging in sexual activities, and child porn after police found that he videoed young girls and women, including Susan. So they were like, let's check your stuff. And they found more than they bargained for. So they're like, yeah, okay, this guy's a fucking creep.
Ew.
After this, Susan's dad was like, oh, we're getting custody of the boys.
Yes.
We're getting custody of our grandkids because this is fucking ridiculous. So immediately they were like, we got to do this. The court did grant temporary custody to them, to the grandparents.
Okay, good.
In late 2011, Josh had gone through a series of court-ordered evaluations. They found he has adequate parenting skills.
Adequate parenting skills?
Yeah, adequate.
So he knows when to feed them. He might bathe them once a week. And what? Is that adequate? Like, he can drive a car.
I mean, at this point, it really doesn't seem like... I don't know if he put them in a daycare up there near there. I don't think he did. So they're out of school. And that's always, once again, to get on my soapbox, that's the first fucking thing. The minute you pull the kids out of school, there's something going on, because homeschooling's fine. I'm not saying it's not a good thing, but if they're constantly in school and then one day they're like, never mind, that's not
unless
okay.
some event happened. Yes, I completely agree.
I agree.
Yes.
Unless it's an event that you're like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But so they found he had adequate parenting skills. He had a steady employment history, sort of, kind of, and no criminal record or history of domestic violence. But he was unable to admit normal personal shortcomings. So, okay. He is overbearing with his sons, and he is persistent, defensive, and and has paranoia. So they said, you know what? If you're going to have visits with your son, they're going to be supervised.
Good.
So grandparents get your sons.
Yay!
And if you want to see them, you're going to have, for right now, like, this is temporary custody, but okay. So
it's a win. We got to win.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Josh's brother was slandering Susan's parents online, saying they were neglecting the kids, all kinds of shit, stirring the pot, because that whole family seems like a piece of shit. With the exception of maybe the other sister. I don't really know a lot about her. The mom and the other sister. So it seems like the women in that family were like, okay.
They're girls. Crazy. In a
exactly.
sense, yeah.
So this is when we get to a very difficult time. So this is a disclaimer. This is when Jen hesitates and Sam goes, something bad's coming. So I'm just
get your stress balls and be prepared.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
My stress ball
whenever
is
Jen
hesitates. I literally took it out of the wrapping. It's not even a ball anymore. Do you see this? It's like flat. Okay.
I have to get you another one, because these are really nice. They have different textures, and I'm like, oh, that's true.
I have two.
I got Sam some stress balls because
yeah.
I know, right? So February 5th, 2012.
Okay.
Elizabeth Grimm Hall is a social worker that was working with the boys.
Okay.
And was the one who was conducting the supervised visits.
Cool.
So she developed a relationship with the boys. She'd always be like, hey, so what happened today? And they'd be like, oh, so we did this and we did that. And, Grandma and Grandpa did this. And she's very good with them. So she went to, and she was, again, the one who accompanied them. So she went to the residence of where Josh was staying. Okay. I do believe that I think at this point he was in his own place, not with Dad anymore. I think he moved back to Utah. I don't really know. I just did a very cursory thing with that because that's not the important part. But
okay,
she went to the residence. She had Charlie and Braden with her, and they were, Josh opened the door. The two kids ran in, and then Josh slams the door on her face.
I remember. I know what this is now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. I have to prepare.
And refuses to let her in. So she says, I think maybe he might have mistaken it. So she's slamming the door like, hey, Josh, let me in, whatever. And she's hearing them in there, but they're not opening the door. So she goes back to her car and she calls 911. Now, I have listened to this entire 911 tape. It is the most frustrating thing ever. Because the 911 operator is a complete moron. And I don't think, according to the internet, which again, we know the internet is always right, he did not get reprimanded for this.
Get the fuck out.
I don't think he got fired. I think they were like, hey.
Don't do that again.
Don't do this again. Now, she calls and she's like, hey, I have supervised visits. The kids are in the house. Dad is locking me out. I don't know what to do right now. And he's like, well, usually he's asking what her name is, the color of her car, her supervisor, where she was, what she's doing. And then she says, also, he's like, we have to respond to emergency life-threatening situations. So like this,
this
like,
could be an emergency life situation though.
Which is exactly what she said. She said, this could be a life-threatening emergency. And then she says, I'm actually smelling gas. So this could be a very big emergency. So as she's pleading with him, and he keeps going, well, what's your name again? And she's spelling her name out. She's spelling the last name of the kids. She's saying whatever. And this woman is like a saint, because I would have been like, shut the fuck up and do what I'm asking you to do.
Yeah. Are cops on their way at least? Like, do you have the cops coming? Like, as we're talking, did you dispatch someone?
He says no, because they're only going to be dispatched for life-threatening emergencies first.
But how do you know? Like, so what if there are no light? You're not on every call. What if there are no light? Like, if you dispatch and then somebody's like, "Oh no, these take priority." Like, isn't there like a chain of command? Like, your job is to input, and then somebody's job is to be like, "Hey, I can't."
Also, the minute you call 911 and you have that, because accidentally, I think one of my brothers did this. When we were younger, they dialed 911 and hung up. There was a cop at our door being like, "Hey, is everything cool?" Because they dispatch no matter what.
Once the phone, yes,
exactly. You immediately get on, you dispatch somebody, and you say, "Who do you need? What do you need? Where are we going?" Well, as she's pleading for him to do anything, the house explodes.
Oh no! Oh my God!
With all three of them inside. So she calls 911 again and gets somebody who actually is going to help. But also, in the meantime, neighbors are seeing the fire and seeing all this and like, hey, you got to get someone down there because something's not right. After a brief investigation, it was confirmed the explosion was planned. Caused a death of carbon monoxide poisoning, although it was noted the boys had significant injuries on their head and neck as well. So...
He hit them?
I think with something a little bit more than just his fists, too. That's kind of what was suggested. A hatchet was discovered by Josh's body, which investigators believe this might have been the tool that he used on the boys before the smoke and the fumes got too much. They also found 2 5-gallon cans of gasoline on the property, and the gas spread throughout the house. So this was a plan. Prior to the incident, relatives and friends of Josh said he contacted them saying where they could find his money, where to turn off the utilities, him saying goodbye.
And nobody called anybody to be like, hey?
Apparently not.
Wow.
Apparently not.
Then again, who would you call? I guess I wouldn't know who to call.
I mean, at the very least, I'd be like, okay, if this is what he wants to do, I wouldn't think about it unless he involved the kids, which again, that was
I probably would have called the mom or the sister if I could and been like, especially if you knew the whole story,
get
like
the kids out. Yeah.
I might have even called the police. Like if I knew the whole story and like they were investigating him, I'd be like, dude, something's up. I think I honestly would call the police and be like, all right, I don't mean to be Mrs. Kravitz here or like sound an alarm, but this dude just called me and told me all this stuff and something bad's gonna happen.
I feel like they would, and again, police would take that seriously because that is a suicide type of watch that you would, if you're suspecting that. So
whether the police took it seriously or not, at least it'd be off my conscience.
That's true. So Josh had also withdrawn $7,000 from his bank and donated the kids' toys to local charities that same day.
What does he need $7,000 for?
I don't know if he gave it to somebody or if it I don't know. I don't know what he did with that money. He's a piece of shit.
He is a piece of shit. I hate this
police
guy.
did notify his father, who was in jail, we remember.
Yes. Good.
Now, his dad didn't seem upset by the news, but was angry at the person who told him. He was like, why are you bothering me with this? I'm sorry? These are your grandkids and your son.
Oh, my God. Why are you bothering me with this?
Yeah, right? 2 weeks after, Stephen invoked his Fifth Amendment right to not answer questions regarding Susan's disappearance. So, which is, again, people...
Yeah.
He was released on his charges in 2017, and he died of natural causes a year later. So he's dead because he's a piece of shit and everybody hated him anyway, so good for him. But
yeah, good riddance.
Police are basically like, we didn't get any information out of him about where Susan is because they still haven't found Susan. Like, the boys are dead, okay, so but we haven't found the wife.
Like, to this day?
To this day. She's still missing. So
Josh did it.
Duh. Yes. February 11th, 2013, Michael, Josh's brother, took his own life by jumping off the roof of a parking garage, and people suggested that he had been involved in the disappearance of Susan, and maybe the guilt got to him. Who fucking knows? The whole family is fucking
they got
fucked
some
up
wires
beyond
loose.
belief.
I mean, we all have wires
Agreed.
loose, but they have the really bad ones loose.
Yes, agreed. Like, to the point where you're like, I don't even know. So Susan's parents ended up suing the Washington State Department of Social and Health Services, saying it was their negligence that contributed to the death of their grandkids. I get where they're going with this, but the social worker tried.
I would sue the 911
everything.
human. I would not go after that social worker. That social worker did what she could.
I've seen her on interviews since, and she's like devastated. She's like, I wish like they were 2 steps ahead of me. I wish if I had been just a little bit quicker. And it's like, there's nothing you could have done in this situation, but this haunts her even to this day.
I could imagine that's survivors. Not even survivor's guilt, like just thinking that you could have changed it, but
I could have done something different. But also, I don't think it was her that they're going after. I think it was more about the department,
yeah.
But it really wasn't. Maybe because they thought, like, they should have put them full custody with us. They shouldn't have had him go with Dad at all. I don't know. But I agree. I would have been like, who's this fucking asshole? I want his job. Like, get rid of him. Because maybe, could it have been solved? I don't know. But at least someone could have been there quicker.
Yeah.
Instead of me being on a fucking 911 call for 7 minutes explaining my car model and my last name to this fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to listen to the 911 tape, it's only gonna frustrate you.
Yeah, no.
So if you are if you're curious, like, go for it. It's on YouTube and everything else. It is frustrating as hell. It is frustrating to listen to it because you're like, I don't understand. But the lawsuit was thrown out originally, and then they appealed it. They did award the family eventually $32 million, so 16 per boy.
Okay.
December 2024. So just just a few months ago.
Okay.
An experiment by KSL's Cold podcast revealed some likely key evidence in the case. So there was a chunk of melted metal along with a few charred wire scraps. They were found at the Powells on their family minivan. They suspected it could have been a torch. So the KSL used, like, they kind of reconstructed it like a Mythbusters type of thing.
Okay.
And they did see that there was some kind of power tool that was involved. So maybe that begs the question of, like, maybe that's what he used for Susan. But it was destroyed. So they're like, maybe there was some kind of power tool that he used to basically kill her. Josh's estranged sister Jennifer wrote a memoir with a co-author about the Powell family called A Light in the Dark. And it's meant to help people recognize abuse in either their own relationship or relationships around them, because it's not always completely apparent. And then there is a book that I might read at some point called If I Can't Have You, Susan Powell, Her Mysterious Disappearance and the Murder of Her Children by Greg Olson and Rebecca Morris. Greg Olson did another true crime one where I can't remember what the kids' names were, but it was about an abusive home life. And it was a lot, but it was a really great read, but it was like, holy fuck, because it's based on a true story. So as of today, no, we don't know what happened to Susan. We know what happened to Susan, but we don't. And unfortunately, the piece of shit got what he wanted and took his 2 wonderful sons with him. And yeah.
I am shook.
I keep doing my stress ball.
Yeah, my stress ball is flat now. It kind of looks like one of those little corals.
Yeah.
It was round. It is not round anymore. But that's okay.
I know.
The story was terrible. You did a great job, but the story was terrible. Let's lighten this up. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah. We're gonna get snappy here. And I'm gonna go. And I'm covering a cryptid today. So,
yay!
Woo. And we are talking about the goat sucker, which is translated in Spanish to the Chupacabra.
The goat sucker?
Chupacabra or Chupacabras can literally be translated in Spanish as goat sucker. And fun fact,
my God.
That name came from a Puerto Rican comedian named Silvero Perez. He's credited with the term.
That's phenomenal.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
But anyway, the Chupacabra has been characterized as the southern equivalent of Sasquatch, and it is also referred to as the second most famous vampire, second only to Dracula.
Interesting.
Yes. So, okay. Chupacabras. There's two descriptions of it. So in the 90s, the description of the Chupacabra, specifically from Puerto Rico and parts of Chile and Argentina, were that it was a reptile-like creature and bipedal, so it walked on two legs. It had leathery, scaly, greenish-gray skin. It had sharp spines or quills running down its back, and it stood approximately 3 to 4 foot high, and it hopped. It either walked or it hopped, similar to a kangaroo. So it either walked, it ran, or it hopped like a kangaroo. And it had all these different things. You know, it was kind of green, kind of gray, kind of leathery, kind of scaly, kind of reptile, walked on two legs, had spines, might have been quills, on its back, like all these different things.
So it's like a dinosaur, but like a small dinosaur.
Like a small dinosaur, kangaroo, alien type thing. Yeah.
That's what I'm picturing.
So once 2000 came around, the other description of the Chupacabra is like a strange dog, so more of a canine type. So it walks on four legs, was mostly hairless, had a pronounced spinal ridge. Sometimes it had quills, sometimes it had spines, sometimes it had nothing. Very pronounced eyes, so like its eyes were like bulging, but the sockets were back. So like, you know, and the eyes are red. And then it had large or long. So I don't know if they were like, you know, girthy or like long-wise, but its fangs were something else. It had three toes with the claws, with like these crazy claws on them.
Oh, it's like a bird.
Kind of, yeah. And these reports come from the Yucatan Peninsula, northern Mexico, and, you know, the U.S. had to get it on this, so the Southwest.
Of course.
And this, again, has been the main description since the 2000s, and there has been more than 2,000 sightings of both types.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it's could it be two different creatures, or it's just like it evolved from a dinosaur to a dog?
Hold on. Okay. So, unlike conventional predators, we're going to get to that, I promise. Or we can talk about it a little bit more in a couple more bullets.
It's fine. I'm literally thinking that's what's in my head right now. I'm like, so
like, shit gets nutty. This is like a crazy, like, wait. Like, just what you said, a lot of times while I was researching, I was like, but wait.
Wait a minute.
Wait. But I had nobody to, like, bounce it off of because Ken was asleep. So now I get to bounce it off of you while we do this. So let me just get through this part. So unlike conventional predators, the Chupacabra is said to drain all of the animal's blood and sometimes organs, usually through 3 little holes. And it's always shaped in a downward pointing triangle.
Okay.
But I've also heard that there's only 1 hole, and I've also seen that there's only 2 holes. But more often than not, it's 3 holes. And they suck out all of the animal's blood and sometimes organs through these little holes. And allegedly, as it's sucking the blood and or organs through these 1 or 2 or 3 holes, it makes an odd noise.
Okay. I have questions, but
Don't we all? It is also thought that these creatures could be of a canine, vampire, or, and this is my favorite, aliens.
I was just going to say it's aliens.
Aliens are back, baby. Okay, so now picture it. Mocha, Puerto Rico, 1975. This is the first time the idea of this chupacabra comes in. So a farmer reports a series of livestock killings. The killings are blamed on the El Vampiro de Mocha. Okay, so this translates, obviously, Vampire of Mocha. At first, it's suspected that these killings are committed by a satanic cult. You know, satanic panic, it's the 70s, it's a big thing. But soon after, more killings are reported all around Puerto Rico. So now it's not just this little Mocha, it's all over the place. So people are starting to take notice. Many farms are reporting loss of animal life, and each animal is reportedly to have been bled dry through a series of circular incisions. Ugh. So now I found a Medium article about an encounter, and I'm just going to read it to you. So it's a child talking about their father. The father had this encounter. So he, the dad, walked out into our backyard to check on our chickens, who were making noise and acting agitated. He told me he saw a bright white light bouncing just above the treetops. He watched it for a few moments until a moving shadow in the bushes caught his eye. What he saw next sent him into a panic. He described what he saw as a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. It was less than 1.5 meters, so about 4 foot tall, and dog-like, but had large glowing red eyes. It stood up on hind legs, and he could see long, sharp claws on its forelimbs, like its little arms. He said it had fangs that were at least 10 centimeters long. And while he described it as mostly hairless with blue-gray scaly skin, he said it had long tufts of matted fur and maybe spines sticking up from its back. It would be a few more years until the creature my father saw and named as El Demonio, so demon, had an official name, El Chupacabra, which terrorized the island of Puerto Rico beginning in 1995. Oh, so let's fast forward now the 20 years to 95. So it's March of 1995, and the first reported attacks were officially attributed to the Chupacabra. Okay? Mm-hmm. So somebody wakes up, 8 sheep were discovered dead with these 3 puncture wounds in the chest area and were reportedly completely drained of blood. The Canovasans in Canovan, I swear, I'm so sorry. I am not Spanish. I'm so sorry. But in this town, about 30 citizens claim to have seen the Chupacabras and are swearing that it had swooped down from the sky and or leapt over the trees. So this thing can do everything and anything. Mm-hmm. In November 19th, 1995, an eyewitness named Madeline Tolentino, she reported seeing the creature in this Canavanas. There we go. Canavanas. I got it. I'm not cool, but I got it. On an autumn night, the creature struck again. Farmers awoke to a horrifying scene. Dozens of turkeys, rabbits, goats, cats, dogs, horses, and cows, all dead with no explainable cause. Just mysterious markings left by the blood-drinking Chupacabras. And this is the night that, Madeline saw it. Now, in the north central city of Caguas. Sure, I'm so sorry. A startled homeowner caught the world's first fleeting glimpse of the goat sucker. This is, around the same time. So, like, in this area. The creature allegedly broke into a bedroom of the house through a window and tore apart a child's stuffed teddy bear and left a puddle of slime and a single piece of rancid meat on the windowsill before disappearing.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
So as these reports are showing up out of Puerto Rico, other incidents are beginning to be reported in other countries. So Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, and the United States.
That's a lot.
There is police cam footage of the Chupacabra in a video in August from 2008 in DeWitt County, Texas. The footage shows a canine-like animal running on the side of the road. The animal in the videotape appears to be furless with a long snout and pointed ears. It is possible that this could be a coyote or other canine infected with mange. Mm-hmm. And then in 2019, a video recorded by Mundo Ovni showed the results of a supposed attack of his chickens in Cebu, Quilo sector of Lares, Puerto Rico. So there's basically all this is to say there's lots of different stories.
Right.
So now there's this dude, Benjamin Radford. He's a writer, investigator, and skeptic. Went on a 5-year investigation where he concluded that the description that Madeline Tolentino gave is kind of based off the creature Sill from the 1995 science fiction horror film Species. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie.
I haven't, but I've heard of it.
But her description of this creature is almost identical to Sill in this movie. It's proven that she had seen the movie before the report. Quote, "It was a creature that looked like the Chupacabra with spines on its back and all. The resemblance to the Chupacabra was very impressive," Tolentino reported. Radford revealed in his 2011 book, Tracking the Chupacabra, that Tolentino, quote, "believed that the creature and events she saw in Species were happening in reality in Puerto Rico at the time, and therefore concludes that the most important Chupacabra description cannot be trusted. This, Radford believes, seriously undermines the credibility that the Chupacabra is a real animal. Next, he shows that the reports of blood-sucking by the Chupacabra are never actually confirmed by necropsy. So basically, necropsy is an autopsy on an animal. But
okay,
because there was no necropsy done on any of these animals found, they can't actually prove that it had been blood dry. Like, this could just be, you know, people saying it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Radford divided all the Chupacabra reports into 2 categories. So Puerto Rico and Latin America, and reports from the United States. Because Puerto Rico and Latin America, animals were attacked, and it's supposed that their blood was extracted with the 3 little holes and it looking like an alien, or the reports in the United States of mostly mammals and dogs and coyotes with mange that people are calling the Chupacabra due to their unusual appearance. Like, those are your 2.
Huh.
So, in 2010, Barry O'Connor, who is a biologist from the University of Michigan, concluded that the Chupacabra reports in the United States were actually coyotes infected with a parasite called Sarcoptes scabies, so like scabies, or in dogs, it's known as mange. And these symptoms would explain the features of the Chupacabra, with very little fur, thickened skin, a rank odor. And O'Connor theorizes that the attacks on goats and farm animals is because these animals, the quote-unquote Chupacabras, are greatly weakened by the mange, so they're having a hard time hunting. So they're forced into attacking livestock that would be easier to run down than, say, a rabbit or a deer. The presence of 2 holes in the neck is corresponding with the canine teeth and are to be expected. And since that's the only way that carnivores can, like, kind of catch their prey is with their mouth. But it's also known that coyotes, canine of that type, dogs with mange, they will sometimes just attack for fun, and they won't always eat what they kill. You know, it could be they ate what they killed and kind of got too tired to eat it, so it kind of, like, ran away.
It's there. Yeah.
You know, and was like, maybe I'll come back for it later. But then, you know, the farmers come out and they're like, oh, shit, what happened to the Chupacabra?
Yeah.
There are also reports of stray Mexican hairless dogs that are being mistaken for Chupacabras. So basically, whenever there's a carcass found now in the Southwest, they do a DNA test on it to see if it could be a Chupacabra. And every time it's come out to be a coyote, a dog, there was a raccoon. One time there was a fish. They found like a fish and they were like, oh God, it's a Chupacabra. It's a fucking fish.
That must have been a big fish.
Big fucking fish, right? And this is the one that, like, throws me the most. So there's one theory that the Chupacabra was actually linked to a NASA study in the early 2000s, like an experimentation gone wrong. So apparently NASA had sent people into Puerto Rico. And this is why it, like, really doesn't make sense to me, because most of the, like, canine-y weird side of it, this idea is in the 2000s. But hold on, let me give you the theory. So it's thought that it's an escaped animal, like a hybrid of an alien and a bat, or an alien and a monkey, that was released into the world, some sort of genetic mutation, and it was done in Puerto Rico. This testing was done in Puerto Rico, and this animal escaped in Puerto Rico. But they're saying that this testing was done in the 2000s. But once 2000 came around, we really only have the canine version of a Chupacabra. It hasn't been that little gray alien with extra spines. I don't know why, but I kept getting the Dover Demon. Like the little gray with the spines and this. Like that's kind of what I was getting. But then when it moved to like that canine version, I was like, yeah, this isn't making sense. But it still doesn't make sense if NASA was doing this experiment in the 2000s in Puerto Rico and some alien animal hybrid got out, because that's not the version of the Chupacabra that we know from the 2000s. That's when it turned into more of a canine.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So the fact that, the U.S. government is doing some crazy testing on aliens with mammals and this, that, and the other thing, that's still roaming around the internet, like on the, edges of Reddit and all that. But it is what it is. Yeah. So that's another theory of what the Chupacabra could be. And then this morning, after I did my notes, a thought kind of popped into my head. There used to be this show on Sci-Fi or A&E or Discovery. I don't fucking know, but it was called Fact or Faked. Have you ever seen this show?
Yeah.
Okay. So I remember I watched an episode back in the day, Fact or Faked, and they found a Chupacabra. So some human in Texas found, killed, and stuffed, mounted a Chupacabra. And it was in their freezer at the time. So they take it out of the freezer, and the people from Fact or Fake, like, did testing on it. And they were like, yeah, no, this is definitely like a coyote with mange. And the guy's like, no, absolutely not. This is a Chupacabra. And was like, okay, you're wrong. So he had it stuffed and put on display in their house. And I put a picture of it on the drive. So,
oh goodness,
that is your very quick, very weird, very little history of the Chupacabra.
The Chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
So it's like a dinosaur, and then it turned into a dog.
So it turned into a reptile, then it turned into a kangaroo, then it turned into an alien, then it turned into a dog. That could also be a kangaroo with bat wings. I don't fucking know.
With bat wings.
I don't get it.
It could be Mothman, for all we know.
Oh my God, Mothman. Maybe Mothman fell in love with a dog. And they made cute babies, also known as the Chupacabra.
The Chupacabra.
I mean, and like the alien idea, okay, I get it. Gray skin, kind of spiny. Especially
everything
with the light.
Gray skin.
Yes.
It turns into
3-4 foot. It matches the grays. I'll give it to you.
Yeah,
bipedal.
Which is fine.
Flies.
It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so what did we learn? I learned people suck.
I also learned that something could be a dinosaur and then evolve into a dog. I just, I like that.
I love the internet. Where were we before the internet? I don't know what we were.
We
were bored.
Like, I'm not trying to age us or anything, but like we're in that generation where like the internet was just coming out and we're like, whoa, there's so many cool things. And now everyone's like, aliens.
This is it. I mean, yes, it's always aliens, but we didn't learn that. We knew that.
We knew that.
My favorite is, and I always say this to Ken, I was like, where were we? What did we do before when we would watch a show and we'd be like, who's that human? What else have we seen him in? Like, did we really have a conversation about it? Or did we, like, what? Because now I automatically go on IMDb and I'm like, oh my God, they were in this and this and this and this and this.
Thank you.
Like, did we really just have a conversation and fight over it when we could have just fact-checked it the whole time?
I guess we did.
I don't know. But
I guess we
that's
just
what
did.
I've learned.
Funny.
I'm going to show you my poor little, my stress ball is...
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Listen, if you guys want to send us some better stress balls.
Yeah, that would be good. I'd love that.
The ones that I got aren't really, they kind of...
They serve a purpose, but they definitely, in an hour, it lost its shape. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. This was fun. Another good Chix Pix in the books, down in the books. If you love this, make sure that you listen to all of our other stuff. Follow us on all of our social media. We're very active on Instagram and Facebook. If you would like to have more content, we have plenty of it over on Patreon. Go to our website, deathbeforebooze.com. Click on Patreon and subscribe. Subscriptions start at $5 a month. But, I mean, I totally get it. It's trying times. If you can't afford to support us that way, just please make sure you rate, review, subscribe on all of our other channels. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell the strangers at the cafe. Go listen to these people. It's really fun.
We've done it.
I do it all the time. If you want some of our merch, we have stickers, t-shirts, cups, all that stuff. Go again to our website, deathbeforebooze.com. Click on merch. You'll find all that there. And you can also find all of our pictures and sources if you want to research this a little bit more, fact check us a little bit. Feel free to go to our website there and just click on the blog, and you'll see all of our stuff that we talk about. And I think I covered everything. I love you guys so much. We'll see you next week.
Love you guys. Stay spooky. Bye.